Myths about the brain. Myth number 5, we use 10% of our brains. Fact, you've probably heard of this often. A off-cited bit of information several times, but constant repetition does not make it any more accurate. People often use the popular urban legend to imply that the mind is capable of much greater things, such as dramatic increased intelligence, psychic abilities, or even telekinesis. If the 10th myth were true, brain damage would be far less likely. After all, we would only have to worry about the tiny 10% of our brains being injured. The fact is that damage to even small areas of the brain can result in profound consequences for both cognitive and functioning. The brain imaging technologies have also demonstrated that the entire brain shows level of activity even during sleep. Myth 2, brain damage is permanent. Fact, the brain is fragile and can be damaged by things such as injury, stroke, or disease. This damage can result in a range of consequences from mild disruptions in cognitive abilities to complete impairment. Brain damage can be devastating, but it's always permanent. While we often tend to think brain injuries as lasting, a person's ability to recover from such damage depends upon the severity and the location of the injury. For example, a blow to the head during a football game might lead to a concussion. While this can be quite serious, most people can recover. When given time to heal, a severe stroke, on the other hand, can result in dire consequences to the brain that can be very well permanent. However, it's important to remember the human brain has an impressive amount of plasticity, even following a serious brain event such as a stroke. The brain can often heal itself over time and form new connections. Myth 3, people are right or left brained. Facts, have you ever heard some description themselves, the left brain on right brain? This stems from the popular notation, the notion that people are either dominated by the right or left brain hemisphere. According to the idea, people who are right brain tend to be more creative and expressive, while those who are left brain tend to be more analytical and logical. While experts do recognize that the laterations of brain function, that is, certain types of tasks thinking, tend to be more associated with a particular region of the brain. No one is fully right brain or left brained. In fact, we tend to do better at tasks when the entire brain is utilized, even for things that are typically associated with certain areas of the brain. Myth 4, humans have the biggest brain. Fact, the human brain is quite large in proportion to the body size, but another common misconception that humans have the largest brain of any organism. How big is the human brain? How does it compare other species? The average adult have a brain weighing is about 3 pounds and measuring up to 15 centimeters in length. The largest animal brain belongs to that of a sperm whale, weighing in at a whopping 18 pounds. Another large brain animal is the elephant, with an average brain size of 11 pounds. But what about relative brain size? In proportion to body size, humans must certainly have the largest brains in comparison to their body size, right? Once again, the notation is also a myth. Surprisingly, one animal that holds the largest body size to brain ratios is the shrew, with a brain making up about 10% of its body mass. Myth 5. Brain cells die permanently. Traditional wisdom has long suggested adults only have so many brain cells that we never form new ones. One of these cells are lost and they gone for good. In recent years, experts have discovered evidence the human adult brain does indeed form new cells throughout life, even during old age. The process of forming new brain cells is known as neurogenesis, and research has found that it happens in at least one important region of the brain called the hippocampus. Myth 6. Drinking alcohol kills brain cells. Fact. Partly related to the myth, we never grow new neurons, is the idea that drinking alcohol can lead to cell death in the brain. Drink too much or too often. Some people might warn you you'll lose precious brain cells that you can never get back. Well, already learned that adults do indeed get new brain cells throughout life, but could drinking alcohol really kill brain cells? While excessive or chronic alcohol abuse can certainly have a dire health consequence, experts do not believe that drinking causes neurons to die. Myth 7. There are about 100 billion neurons in the human brain. Fact. The estimate of 100 billion neurons have been repetitive so often and so long that no one is completely sure where it's originated. In 2009, however, one researcher decided to count neurons in an adult brain and found that the number was just a bit off the mark. Based on the research, it appears the human brain contains closer to 85 billion neurons. So while the often cited number is a few billion too highly, 85 billion is still nothing to sneeze at. Number 1. Myth 8. Your brain has a perfect learning style. Learning styles suggest that each person have perfectly learning style that helps them learn. For example, one popular theory proposes that people tend to be more auditory, visual, or kinesthetic learners. In other words, some people learn best by hearing, seeing, or doing. While it's an appealing concept, there's little research to suggest that learning's based on your preferred style actually has any impact on learning outcome. One large-scale study found no evidence to support the use of learning style assessment instruments. The world of the brain is a very interesting place.